Okay, we are on air now. Okay, so I'm Melissa Cordier.
I'm Vanessa Martin.
I'm Madison Adams.
And I'm Terry Huggins.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so our first question is, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? And then how has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address? So, who would like to start? Does anyone want to start? Well, okay, let me see, cause I did like kind of take notes on that. Well, I took like pictures of his talk when I was reading it. Okay. Um, it said. Okay, so, well, I guess like one of the threats. Well, okay, I'll just read what he said and then I'll go off of it. So he said, one of the mighty change of the last days, we no longer think of Zion as where we are going to live. We think of it as how we are going to live. So I think maybe one of the threats today is like we basically don't live the gospel. And like, I don't know, I think sometimes members are guilty of this. Like, that's kind of bad to say. But I think sometimes like they say one thing, but they act a totally, completely different way. And so I think I think Elder Holland is like, if you're gonna like, if you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you need to live by those standards. And so I think that's definitely going to be a threat to the children and families, like in our society today. Like, if we're not living the way we need to, like, why would we think our children would live that way as well? So that's one thing I think.
Can I piggyback on that for you for just a second?
Yeah.
When you're talking about that, if we're not living that way, and you're saying some members, it's kind of cute because I was 25 when I joined the church, so I thought Mormons were perfect. Did you hear that part? I thought they were perfect.
Right.
I didn't know they weren't living every single thing. And anyway, when I came back from a mission, I was about 29, I think, 28, and I got hired to work at a facility that worked with delinquent teenagers. They'd committed crimes and they were gang members, etc. None of them were as hard to work with as the Mormon kids that we got sent. Okay, because they'd seen their parents being hypocritical, and usually they also came from money, and so they were. I'm just agreeing with what you said, Melissa, is that they literally it just screwed them up.
Right.
And time you got a new kid, there was like 25 in each one of the cottages, and if we got one of those and it said LDS on it, we'd all just look at each other like, oh my gosh, this is going to. If the parents are living the gospel, that's wonderful, but if they're not, and especially if they're really breaking the rules, that's a whole other thing. So just a little something there. You know, is that the part too where you kind of feel like he was talking about the basketball player?
Yeah. I don't remember what part that was, to be honest. I just like took a picture of it.
It kind of reminds me of that because during the basketball part that you're talking about, Terry, he mentioned that checking your religion at the door, and that's pretty much what you're talking about too, Melissa. Is people who check their religion at the door and try to act a different way when you can't check your religion at the door. You have to always be Christ-like and loving. So yeah. I'll be right back. 1 second.
Oh, you're fine.
Exactly, Vanessa. Exactly. So I kind of like that. I'll just tell you, when I got baptized on a Saturday night, I was invited to play basketball with the Mormons, and I was really amazed at how completely crazy people were acting, and I was just laughing. Hey, I'm not Catholic anymore, and I'm not Methodist. I got baptized like 2 hours ago, and you guys are trying to cause me some problems or something, and it was really kind of amazing. So, yeah, Heavenly Father's never cared. I've been a basketball coach for a long time, and high school basketball coach. I try to make sure you know that heaven has never cared who wins the game, except for the '84 national champion BYU football team. Then he cared that.
Right.
So I really appreciated both of you on that. That was great. Anything to add from Madison?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to add. I was looking up this quote that he said in there. I really liked what you guys were saying and like how you related it to that story, and that story just really kind of shocked me that happened, and it's so sad that happens, and that's sad that happens, like that you've seen that in your career as a police officer. But anyways, so in there he was kind of talking about also how like other parents he was talking about how we kind of condemn others and we judge others, and he was talking about how parents have to act in accordance with the gospel without worrying about that. And he says parents have to exercise good judgment regarding the safety and welfare of their children every day. No one would fault a parent who says children must eat their vegetables or who restricts a child from running into a street roaring with traffic. So why should a parent be faulted who cares at a little later age what time those children come home at night, or what the moral and behavioral standards of their friends are, or at what age they date, or whether or not they experiment with drugs or pornography or engage in sexual transgressions? And I just thought that was like so powerful and wonderful because it is, and it's really important to sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, sorry, the sound went out for a second. Sorry, I was like, oh no, it's happening like last time.
Oh no.
But you were fine.
You guys hear all that? What didn't you guys hear?
Just like the very end. No, we heard like most of it.
So he says, why should a parent be faulted who cares at a little later age what time those children come home at night, or what the moral and behavioral standards of their friends are, or at what age they date, or whether or not they experiment with drugs or pornography or engage in sexual transgression? And I just really like that because as parents we can't be that way either. We can't relax the standard, and we can't worry about what the world thinks as far as we're raising our kids, because we are kind of raising our kids in a different way. Like we're raising them apart from the world, and it's a good thing, and we shouldn't care if people think, oh, you're being like too strict or whatever, because we're protecting their spirits, and that's important.
Right. I like that. Like we have to protect their spirits. I really like that. That's cool. Okay. So just on that, like next question, it says, how has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address? So I'm going to start.
Well, there's some of the ways that it has influences, even and it seems to be, even in the last few years, that things are becoming so completely accepted, never accepted before. And I don't know if you've read my discussion board posts or whatever. In fact, somebody did. Madison, did you say me as a police officer, or were you referring to the guy in the talk?
I thought you were a police officer.
Okay. Well, I was, but I didn't. I was like, I didn't know anybody knew I was a cop. So okay.
I read your discussion board thing.
That must be it. Okay. And I hope it doesn't sound like some guy who's really critical. I actually have a smile and I'm happy all the time, but you young people are now living in an incredibly strange world. And anyway, I was trying to thought what I was going to say about it. It had to do with the fact that it's just becoming a really evil world. And so we are to stand as a witness at all times, and we are supposed to protect our children. And we are becoming more separated from the rest of the world. And you may not know it because it's you're still kind of learning about it, but I've watched in 35 years since I joined the church, and the Mormons are really standing out now, and so much so because we're now, we're saying, hey, we're against gay marriage, and almost everybody's disagreeing and thinks that we're hateful and all these kind of things, and we're not. We should care about everybody, but there's reasons why we don't believe in gay marriage, and the ramifications are incredible. I don't know if you folks know this, but if things go through, we're going to have to let them in our temples is the idea. And we're not going to let people in our temples. We don't even let Mormons who aren't living the commandments in our temples. So we're under a lot of condemnation that we're not the loving people, and actually we're extremely loving. It's just there are certain rules, and like Elder Holland said, that it's not going to change things. We will always continue to have the doctrine, and the rest of the world's going to keep looking at us. So it's going to get, we're going to keep separating from the world, and even from churches, etc. So I gabbed too much on that one. Anyway, the world's all about acceptance now, and that's not what it's supposed to be. It's not like that. But we are supposed to love at all times, stand as a witness. Talk too much, I'll be quiet. I'm quiet now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about how the world wants us to just basically change our perspective, and how they're, I don't know, I think they're making almost the Mormons just sound like they're the wrong way, like, oh, we need to accept everyone, and da-da-da-da-da, and like the whole gay marriage thing, going off that. I guess, like, I don't know, I think the world has just changed the views of a lot of people, and they are just, I think they're continuing to change the views of them. I did I'm doing my what is that thing, the research paper about abortion, and it's so interesting to read about what the prophets and apostles have to say, because they, like, all these things that they said, like, way back when is now applying now, because they knew, like, this was going to be a huge deal, like how the world was going to change, and how basically how the world was going to get so wicked. And so I just think it's interesting. I think just the world today is just, I don't know, changing the views of, I guess, what Heavenly Father would want, basically. So.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
I just want to add what you're saying. Russell M. Nelson in his talk, like, teaches tolerance and love. I think that's what it's called. He says that there's a difference between acceptance and tolerance, and a difference between being tolerant and tolerant, because we accept all people as members of the church, and we love all people, just as Christ did, or at least we're supposed to anyway. But that's different from tolerating their behavior, and so we can accept them, but not tolerate the sin, you know, like love the sin. I mean, not love the sin. Love the sinner, hate the sin, that kind of thing. I think that's important to remember.
No, I agree.
I like that.
Hey, can I add one more thing? The world has become so different. I'm just curious, from you three as young people, do you get a sense that there are a lot of gay people, a lot of people that are gay and lesbian? Do you think it's a larger proportion of the people in America? Do you get a sense of that?
I personally, I definitely do. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong or if you have other opinions, but I personally think that, I don't know, I want to word this carefully because I don't want to offend anyone, but that a lot of nowadays that to be gay and to be a lesbian is like a really popular trend, and I feel like a lot of people are doing that now just to say that they are gay and lesbian because it's part of the trend, and not that they really are. You know what I mean? I mean, I do think that there truly are gay and lesbian people out there, but I think some people are just following the trend of saying that they're gay and lesbian. And because of that, I think there is a higher majority of people that are gay and lesbian than they are, not that there are straight. I don't know, I kind of got that jumbled up, but I hope that made kind of sense.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think a lot of people right now are, like, coming out.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm like, are you? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes it's to get attention, and, like, so one of my friend's sister told her, like, so I'm going to try to experiment it. She's like, I know it's not right, but I'm going to experiment it. And she's like, what are you talking about? So I think it's just like, yeah, it's like this big thing right now, like, oh, everyone's doing it, and so, I don't know, I think it's so silly, but whatever.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is, sorry, is your perspective, and there seems to be more. Just for what it's worth, it's about 2% of the population, which is what it's always been. Literally 2%. So the world, one of the ways that Satan gets us to try to believe it is that, hey, you know, everybody's doing it, everybody is, there's a lot of people, and it's not. It's not in any way, shape, or form. Hollywood portrays things, and it's in all the magazines, and guess what? It isn't even close. It's 2%.
That's so interesting.
That's interesting. I honestly had no idea because, like you said, it really does seem like a lot more people are gay and lesbian than there actually are. So that's interesting. 2%.
If you can believe it, it's more people than you should accept it is the idea. And like I said, I have friends who are especially lesbians, a lot of female police officers, and I love them. I care about them. They know it. And I've also made it clear, guess what? You can't come in our temple, and and you have to change those ways if you're going to come in. And it's never changed. It never will. You're just seeing the world. I think the world's kind of wrapping things up a little bit, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. Interesting.
I feel negative. Positive.
In the media, like, it really does portray, like, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you have something? I'm sorry.
I, like, hate speaking up because I'm so afraid of interrupting someone. So that's why I, like, don't talk until someone says you have something. But, I do have something to add. I was just going to say, like, in the media, like, there's, like, hardly any popular TV show nowadays where it doesn't portray a gay character, and, like, the gay character is kind of the main character, and so, like, that really contributes to this idea that there are so many gay people is because there is in the media world, you know, but media doesn't portray real life, so.
Yeah, you've almost got to a point in life. Unfortunately, I'm going to school, but I don't have time for TV. I got a basketball game on in the background, and it's turned off. But other than that, it's kind of like you almost can't see the darn TV set. And anyway, it's portrayed that way. Hey, okay. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
Okay, we'll move on. Okay. So then the next question is, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in these latter days? Do you want to start, Terry?
Wait a second. I'm quiet here.
No, just say stuff. It's great.
You know what? Yeah, but part of the problem is I don't want to come across as I've got all this. There is a weird thing, though. When you're 60, you've been on the planet a long time. So let me just throw something else out that's kind of along those lines, okay? But it's talking about how we're going to be advocates. And one of the things I wrote down here was the importance of us being even better Latter-day Saints, to be more righteous. And he goes on to talk about missionary work, and truly doing missionary work is really just about being loving and friendly and having the Spirit. And so I made some comments here, and I'm just throwing these out here because it may lead to more in that discussion. It kind of has to do with that second question, too, in a roundabout way. But even last Sunday, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to turn on and check the scores on the Sabbath. I'm just going to turn the TV off completely. I don't have time for it anyway. If I'm like some of you are, I work full time. I've got kids. I've got church responsibility. I don't have time for it anyway, so let's just turn it off. But the scary part is the last time I did that, about 12 years ago, I got called to a high council, so I'm a little worried I want to hit some kind of calling I don't, have to deal with. Anyway, a neat thing to do on the fast Sunday, by the way, just to add this as part of the increasing our own righteousness, is fast Sunday is a great day to go do your visiting teaching, or in my case, home teaching. You can actually do your official visit and not worry about the fact you're starving to death when you're out, doing that stuff and staying busy with it. So, a little helpful hint from a 35 years in the church kind of person. I made a note that I'm halfway between the Mesa Temple and the Gilbert Temple, literally about 6 miles from both of them. And I'm like, you know what? Need to increase my temple attendance even more. Let's just get there more often because got to get the oil in the lamps kind of idea. So
that's awesome.
Help with part of the discussion or even the question, or is it too vague?
That was great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I what I want to say.
And
Well, I just think Elder Holland is pretty blunt, to be honest. I think he's just very to the point, which is, I don't know, I like that sometimes, and so I thought this was very like, we need to defend the doctrine of the family and, you know, just do it kind of thing. Like, we're members of the church, we just need to do it. So
Agreed.
I don't know. I don't know if that's really the question, but that's what kind of got out of it.
I really liked how he said too, like we can't completely flee Babylon. We're kind of living in Babylon, in the world that we live in. So he says that we need to build Zion where we are, and just, you know, the world is what it is. We just gotta work with it and just do what we can where we are, and try and flee evil as best we can. But just know that it's there, and we can't block it all out. We can't block it all out from our families. It's gonna come in anyways, and so it's important to build Zion where we are and to have that foundation so that those things can't shake it, and so that you can be an advocate and you can fight back against it, because you can't hide from it today. You have to actually fight back against it.
Oh, yeah.
which is sad because I feel like your home is supposed to be a sacred place and a temple and stuff like that, but it's so easy for us to get distracted and for us to kind of let Satan into our lives through our home, through TV, what we listen to on, like in the radio or in the music or anything like that, internet. So I think it's just really important, like Madison said, to just establish Zion where you are and to not be relaxed, just to always try to strengthen your family and those around you, I think. So.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Vanessa, and maybe just the last part of that here is he really is stressing that we're to become advocates and to speak out and speak out against. And that's interesting for me because I came from a generation in Southern California. It was called the Sexual Revolution, and everything goes, and free love, and all kinds of stuff like this. And I was part of all that for 25 years, and all of a sudden, and so I've had this weird thought like, well, I shouldn't really say anything because it's kind of hypocritical if I'm speaking out against. And that Elder Holland's talk was a landmark talk years ago when I heard it the first time, but now more so, and maybe because I'm taking this class, but I'm going, guess what? I'm not going to be silent. I'm going to speak out and say, you know what? This doesn't work. And we can do it without being self-righteous. We can absolutely, if we have the Spirit, we can do it with love and just say, here's another viewpoint, and this is the one I'm sticking with. And that's, I think that's Elder Holland, a big part of this whole lesson is you know, how are we going to, what are we going to do? And the best way we can do it is by living righteously, you know, by our example. Obviously, it's much more important than anything we say. Okay, I'm quiet again.
No, I really like that. I think that is being an example. I love how Elder Holland said in the end of his talk, he says, let me find it. He says he's talking about the Savior, he says he will find us, you and me and all of us, doing our best, trying to live the gospel, trying to improve our lives and our church and our society the best way we can. When he comes, I so want to be caught living the gospel. I want to be surprised right in the middle, I want to be surprised right in the act of spreading the faith and doing something good. I love that because we obviously do not know when the second coming is, and so it just, Elder Holland will be living the gospel constantly and trying to spread the love all day, every day, 24/7. And so I think we can do that. I think that's awesome that we can, that we don't know when he comes, so that means we need to be prepared and always be ready for when he comes. And so we should just always be living the gospel 24/7 and loving and sharing it. So.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when he comes because we should be living that way anyways. Like, even if we did know, or, you know, even if we knew that it was going to be, like, long time for now, even if we didn't know that it was going to be soon, we should still live that way anyways because that's how, you know, that's how we're supposed to live in.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I here, first let me just compliment you. I never went to a school where there's Mormons at. So, you know, the joke is you go to college to learn to be an alcoholic. That's why you go to college. And so it is so neat to be with young people like yourselves. And you know, you're doing it. You're doing it already. Here, let me give you one quick quote by President Gordon B. Hinckley. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you've seen it before, I don't know, but my life is all about missionary work, and I saw how ugly the world was, and then as a cop, of course. But Gordon B. Hinckley said this: "Let there develop in every it piggybacks on something Vanessa said. Let there develop in every stake an awareness of the opportunity to find those who will listen to the gospel message. In this process, we need not be offensive. We need not be arrogant. The most effective tract we will carry will be the goodness of our own lives and example. And as we engage in this service, our lives will improve, for we shall be alert to see that we do not do or say anything which might impede the progress of those we are trying to lead toward the truth." He said that in 1999. That's what we're supposed to be doing, I think, not just talking about it, but people should know that we're Mormons, and that's a good thing. They go, hey, that's a good person there. That's okay. And the ones who are really evil, they're not going to like us anyway, so.
I really like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, so it kind of like segues into the next question anyways. It's like, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us more effective family advocates?
I feel like we already touched on a lot of these.
Yeah, I feel like really like we talked about loving and having the Spirit, and I think just, I don't know, I feel like that whole thing was that.
Living the gospel and being an example.
Yeah.
Well, I'll segue one more, and then I really will be quiet here. But along with all those things, and then remember the wonderful example he talks about where he isn't even sure if the young lady is a member or not. Or, you know, she's got some extra hair and all these things. That's a great part of that talk where he says it's important that I don't turn around and start becoming, you know, bad by being so judgmental. And he says the key is always to make things better. Always to make things better. That part? Anybody?
It's a little bit choppy.
Oh, mine was choppy? Okay. Well, he was just saying he's trying to figure out how to help that young person, and if there's some way to do it, is to always remember to make things better. Whatever our interactions are with anybody, it should come out that we made things better. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, actually.
That was all. I thought that was important to recognize and see, and that was about the third question for me. That was something that touched on it, what we're talking about.
No,
Third question.
I really like that story because I think a lot of us do that on accident. Like, we just judge people on accident. And so I think Elder Holland gave a really good example of, I don't know, we just can't be like that. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know. He was like, maybe she's the Relief Society president. Maybe she's been through a lot. Like, and so I think we have to keep that in mind. Like, people are just going through different things than us. They've come from different places than us. Like, I don't know. So I think that was a really, I don't know. I'm glad you brought that up, Terry, because I actually did like that story.
Yeah, we don't even know for sure she was a member. I mean, she may not have. Yeah.
And in that case, I like how he said it was awesome that she was there. And it is. Either of those situations, like any of those reasons, it's awesome that she's there. She's there and she's listening and she's, you know, being fed spiritually. And so,
yeah, no, it's
I think
true.
it goes back to the acceptance and the tolerance. Like, we should accept her, you know, and love her. And that's what Christ would do. But it doesn't mean that we have to act just like her, you know, and, like, you know, dress immodestly and like, tolerate the behavior, you know, and it, you know, adopt that behavior, but just accept her.
Lower our standards. We don't ever lower our standards.
Exactly.
We won't do that, but we definitely need to be accepting, and certainly on a short-term basis, with the knowledge that hopefully if we do things right, then maybe they get that turned around.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that anyone wants to add to that question?
Now, I have a quick question. So is there something where we're supposed to individually check off that we did this week, or is that at the end of the week when it just says did you participate in the video?
Yeah. Yeah, so I will post it on the discussion board after we're done, and then you do your own personal grading on, like if you were prepared or whatever, and then then you're good.
Is that on the discussion board section, or where do I find that? I'm still trying to navigate this new format they've come up with this semester.
It's just under like lesson 3. If you go to the last one, I can look at it real quick. I think it's called
Oh no, keep going.
Oh,
What's
sorry. It's just called, it's under the family doctrine paper. It says preparation and participation report, and that's where you do it.
Okay. Family doctrine section. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, so we just have like, I think a couple more questions, and then we'll do the summary, and then we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay, so the last one is, okay, wait, sorry. According to what you have learned from Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, if any, do you have in a scenario like the one in the video below? Did you guys watch that video?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool video. I liked that.
Okay, so do you guys want to start?
Oh, sorry. Keep going. Who was?
No, I just said go ahead. Talk about the video. What you thought was cool about it.
So I actually really liked that video. I didn't think that they were all going to be kind of positive about it. I thought they were going to get mad at the dad and yell at him and be like, "Oh, how dare you talk to your son that way?" But they kind of took it in a more Christ-like manner. I mean, to me, I thought they did. They just talked about how you should love your son no matter what, and that how their children or their brothers or their siblings and stuff had gone through this, and how it was hard for them at first, but they realized that the person was still the same person that they knew and loved, just that he was gay. Anyway, so so the question is, what obligation, if any, do you have in the scenario in this video? I put that I would actually say something. I'd be like, hey, this is hard for him to say what he just told you, and I don't know. I would say something. I'd definitely say something. So.
Yeah, I think it's just like doing it in the right way. Like, I think like what you said, you have to just do it Christ-like, because if you do it a different way, I think it just comes off bad. Yeah. And then the dad is angry, and then everyone's angry. So I think, like what we talked about this whole time, like we have to, I don't know, these like subjects are like touchy subjects, so you have to do it in a very Christ-like way.
Yeah, and I think it would be, if I was in the dad situation, I think I'd be shocked if my kid came and told me like, hey, I'm gay. So
yeah,
I mean, I can kind of see where the dad is coming from. So I don't know.
Yeah.
The hard part is the doing. I have a bishop friend. Well, he's a bishop in Utah, but he's down here now, and he loves talking. I wish I could think of what his exact quote is, but it's something like, I love talking or teaching about the gospel. He was a seminary teacher, too, for years, and he says, it's just living it. It's the hard part for me, It's not for us to know when he comes, right? Something like that.
Uh-huh.
Acts 1, the Bible, Acts 1:7. I read this a couple days ago. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. And so Peter was just talking about and just saying, look, it's not for us to know. Just be prepared at all times and live in the gospel so joyful anyway. So when I'm talking about how evil the world is, you have to know that I got this twinkle in my eye and I'm just cracking up because it's like, I think things are wrapping up kind of. It's called the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and it's going to be great for folks like you three. I'm probably in some trouble, but you three, you should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last one, it just is kind of, it's almost the same thing. It just says if you were a customer at this restaurant and observed this father-son exchange, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response? Kind of the
I
same
must
thing.
tell me what the exchange was. I somehow missed that section. I don't know where that was at. What was that about?
So there's this boy in a restaurant, and he's out at lunch or whatever with his dad, and he tells his dad that he's gay, and his dad kind of freaks out a little bit. He's like, "What? You can't be gay. You know, this is sickening. You just supposed to be," and like all this stuff, because he's just completely shocked. And so, anyways, the boy is like pretty upset, and he leaves or something. The boy like goes somewhere, I don't know, and then so then people talk to the dad, and they're like, at first I thought they were gonna like all say to the dad like, yeah, you know, like this is bad that he's gay. Like the first couple kind of did, but then there's other people that are like, hey, you know, it's hard, but I've had a family member that's gone through this, and you just gotta love them anyway. They're a great person, and so they were like kind of taking the boy's side, and then the dad went to the bathroom, so he was gone for a second, and then one of the guys was like giving his number to the boy and was saying like, hey, call me if you need to talk, or so they were like showing support and love towards the boy. And so the exchange was it was like a setup for the boy and the father, but the reactions of the people in the restaurant were real, and it was really cool that most of the people reacted in a loving manner, both towards the dad and the brother, and they were just like, hey, you know, like just he's still the same person, just, you know, love him, and it gets easier, and I just thought that was cool.
Do any of you have kids? Do any of you have kids?
No, I don't.
No.
I have one.
And who does? Madison?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Can you imagine, all you have is love for your kid, right? How old's your child?
He's 9 months old.
Months old, yeah. I was never going to get married, never have kids, and the Mormons got me. And I have 6 kids, and now I have 4 stepkids. And anyway, I can just tell you that all you have is love for your kids anyway. You just have love for them. And if they said that one of them said they were gay, holy cow, now their life is going to be even tougher than it's been, and all you're going to do is be there to support them, love them, and you're also going to teach the gospel to them and say, you know, we got to figure out how to work through this thing. And they're pretty clear. The prophets and apostles have been pretty clear about that. You can't act upon these things. So,
Yeah.
you know, life is tough. So, but I'm just hearing kind of like, well, this is what we're supposed to do. I'm just here to share with you that that's what you're going to do. You love your kids with everything you have, and so it isn't hard to do that part.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
actually talking to my husband about that because I listened to the video, and he kind of listened to it with me, and so then we were talking about that, like what if our son did say that, and we would love him, and I have no doubt of that in my mind. Like, I mean, that wouldn't change anything. There's nothing that could change that, but it would hurt because it would be harder for him, for my son, to have that eternal happiness, because we know that happiness comes from, you know, getting married in the temple and having a family and stuff, and like making those covenants, and we know that those covenants are so important to our salvation, and so that would be so hard because our kid wouldn't have those natural tendencies to want that. And for me, like I want that. Like I have no problem, you know, loving my husband, and like I'm totally attracted to him, you know, and all that kind of thing. And so it's that part's easy for me, but it would be hard for my kid, and that's such an important thing, and so it would just hurt me so much because I would be hurting for him, because I know how hard it would be for him. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I mean, I'm grateful to take this class and other classes like this so that I know I kind of know what I'm going to do in that situation, and I kind of have, you know, a foundation to help them.
Madison. So are we in the same group each week? Is it the
Yeah.
same group? Okay, very cool. I look forward to seeing more. Listen, here's the deal. My oldest daughter, who's 30, is out in the kitchen, and my youngest daughter, who just got back from Utah Valley, is out in the kitchen, and my 27-year-old son, he likes them playing basketball, and he's out in the living room. And so I'm going to go join them and just tell you that I'm so impressed with you, and if I can just tell you that 35 years later, I've lived the gospel. It's absolutely true. Every part of it. It's the most amazing thing you could ever imagine. So let's do our missionary work.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks for letting me join in. We're all checking out pretty much now?
We're just gonna do the summary and then we'll check out. But you can go if you'd like. We're just gonna do the summary real quick.
I'll listen. I'll be in the other room. But if you overhear other people talking, it's them.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
You want to just start that, Madison?
Yeah, okay, so some of the threats that we talked about a lot about how there's the threat of just homosexuality and like the kind of influence that has on the world today. Like, it seems like a bigger thing than it is, and there's lots of reasons for that. There's people that are experimenting with that just because it's kind of become a trend. So we talked about that. We talked about how that was in the media. And so we talked about how we kind of need to build Zion where we are. And we also talked about how we need to show love to those who are around us who aren't living the lifestyle that we are, and who aren't really living the gospel principles, but we need to show that love for them. And we talked about how we can't ever check our religion at the door, like Elder Holland mentioned, and we have to always, we can't join the crowd, and we have to always love the gospel principles.
We also, okay, I was going to say, we also talked about fighting for our laws and religion, and being an active advocate instead of just sitting back and letting someone else do it. We also talked about being an example and by living the gospel. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. I think that we just talked about we just need to love everyone and accept them. We don't have to, like, love the sin, but love the sinner. And we talked about, in the video of the son and father, we talked about just, we probably would say something, but we would have to do it in, like, a Christ-like love. And then, yeah, I think that's really, is there anything else, guys?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all.
Okay, I'm gonna